of the NBA, the Mavericks are firing general manager Nico Harrison. In a meeting this morning, sources tell Shams Charania and Tim McMahon Harrison has been under fire since orchestrating the stunning Luka Doncic trade on February 2nd. Shams Charania joining us right now. And Shams, just really big news coming out of Dallas. What more can you tell us about what's happening out there?
So this morning, Patrick Dumont, Mavericks ownership, they made the decision to fire Nico Harrison. And Nico Harrison was informed around 9:15 a.m. that he would be meeting with Patrick Dumont, the owner, at 10 a.m. Central Time. And that meeting was set for him to be fired and let go. Just last night, we saw Patrick Dumont sitting with a fan courtside. I'm told that interaction with Patrick Dumont admitting to the fan that the organization had made a mistake with the Luka Doncic trade in February, and that he was going to take accountability for it and do right by the fans. And so a day later, he's made the decision to fire Nico Harrison. And this is the Mavs essentially doing right by their fans. There's been such a public outcry internally in Dallas there. As soon as they traded Luka Doncic on February 1st in the late night hours on that Saturday night. And at that time, though, it is important to note there was full alignment in that organization, from ownership to Nico Harrison, to his staff, to Coach Jason Kidd. There was alignment on the potential of trading Luka Doncic. Then it was Nico Harrison, obviously, whose decision it was, whose idea it was, who made the pitch, who made the efforts to trade Luka Doncic, and that's what he got done for Anthony Davis. And at the crux of all this is Anthony Davis has missed the last 6 games with a strained calf. And since he's been in Dallas, we have not seen Anthony Davis play on the floor for extended periods of time. Of course, when Nico Harrison made that trade, it was with the vision of him on the floor with Kyrie Irving, with a deep unit up front. We never saw that come to fruition under Nico Harrison. You can blame health, but you knew what you were trading for at a guy over 30 for a guy in their prime.
Shams, I got several questions, so I'm gonna need your answers to be just a touch shorter because I got some information I need to get from you, my brother. First of all,
you just let me know.
First of all, when you have this owner, Patrick Dumont, right? You say that he said to the fan he's accepting accountability. Is this a scapegoat move on his part, saying that it really wasn't us, it was Nico Harrison that did it? Or is he truly owning the fact that, yes, this was us, and we compelled Nico Harrison to do this? Who was the person that insisted Luka Doncic needed to go?
Stephen A., it was Nico Harrison. It was Nico Harrison's decision. It was Nico Harrison's pitch. It was Nico Harrison's idea to trade Luka Doncic. But of course, any move that gets made, Stephen A., you know, if a general manager at any level is making a trade, it is with the blessing and the sign-off of ownership as well. Now, it might have taken Nico Harrison days, weeks to get Patrick Dumont on board, but after the Mavericks made it to the NBA Finals in 2024, I'm told that's when the Patrick Dumont-Nico Harrison relationship, that was the strongest it's ever been. That's when Patrick Dumont, what I'm told, he looked at Nico Harrison as a basketball savant, as someone that when Nico Harrison speaks, when he has an idea, it's basketball gospel. And so when Nico Harrison came to Patrick Dumont with that concept, there was alignment there. Eventually, there was alignment within the front office, alignment with the coach, and that's when you see this transaction take place.
How much is Luka's performance in LA right now, averaging 37, 9, and 9, and the Lakers winning without LeBron James, factored into this decision being made?
It's hard not to look at everything Luka Doncic is doing too, and there's no doubt Mavericks ownership, whether it's Patrick Dumont, Rick Welts, they're all paying attention to what's going on with Luka Doncic, and the fact that Nico Harrison essentially traded away Luka Doncic before he was eligible for the Supermax. So they had all come to an agreement that they were not going to pay Luka Doncic the Supermax, that the best prudent move financially is to move him. And that's what they ended up doing. But you're seeing Luka Doncic play now, and he is fully deserving of whatever Supermax contract he was worth last year that he ended up signing with the Lakers. And that is the mistake that Patrick Dumont is accepting. That's the mistake that he's beginning to essentially start the process of doing right by the fans and owning up to the mistakes. And that starts with firing the person he believes and who Mavericks people believe was responsible for coming up with the decision But again, that decision isn't made without the proper sign-off. But again, this was Nico Harrison
Go ahead.
at the end of the day that made that trade.
But Sean, that's what I'm thinking. You just said before that they were all on the same page in terms of Nico Harrison and the decision to trade Luka Doncic. So why take Nico Harrison out if all of them were in agreement about this? And of course, obviously the fans were upset, but you accept the mistake. I mean, you trade Luka Doncic, you accept it, but why take Nico Harrison out if you were all on the same page with that?
I mean, it's expectations. And Nico Harrison said it when he made the trade. Time will tell if he's right. He said it after the end of the season, I believe in April, that when this team comes back, and this is after Kyrie Irving got hurt, when the team comes back next season, we're going to be competing for a championship. Right now, after last night's loss, this is a team that is among the worst in the league. They're among the worst, obviously in the West, but among the worst in the NBA at large. And so that is not the expectations. And this is a wins or loss league. This is a production business. If this is the Mavericks team that was sitting at the top of the conference, competing for a playoff spot, at least right now, at least in the early part of the season, probably not something we see occur. But this is a results business, and Nico Harrison put his, put everything on the line with that trade, and the results speak for themselves.
How bad does this look for Anthony Davis? And I preface it by saying this, Shams. I said before that if you're Anthony Davis, you need to understand this trade is perceived as not happening if it were not for you. That once Anthony Davis arrived in Dallas, the way he played in that very first game as a Dallas Maverick, in that first half, that's the guy that has to be there all the time. And obviously he got hurt in the second half of that very first game, missed games after that. They crawled into the post, into the play-in and all of this other stuff. This year he's already missed 6 straight games. This is a disaster because Luka's on the court doing his. Anthony Davis ain't even on the court because he's more hurt than healthy. And I think that one can easily argue that the status of Anthony Davis plays a role in costing Nico Harrison his job.
If Anthony Davis is on the floor, you're probably looking at different results, right? And the reality is, for the majority of the Dallas tenure, we haven't seen him on the floor at his peak position. He seemed to rush back early from his adductor injury to make his Dallas Mavericks debut last February, and then we saw he re-aggravated that injury. He misses 6 weeks, and then when he comes back, even though he came back for the tail end of the regular season into the play-in berth situation, we didn't see the Anthony Davis we all know that we saw in LA, that we saw in New Orleans. And the real big flash that we saw of Anthony Davis was that debut game. And even this year, he came into camp, to people around Dallas, obviously a little bit in different shape, right? Whether you want to call it out of shape, whether you want to call it someone that wasn't in prime
Anthony Davis shape.
But the reason for that is, Stephen A., but the reason was he went through detached retina surgery in the summer. He wasn't eligible. He wasn't able to have any activities in the offseason for a period of 6 to 8 weeks. So any player that takes 2 months off from the offseason, it's hard to assume that they're going to be in shape. And so the irony of all this is Luka Doncic was traded last February when he was dealing with a calf strain, coming back from a calf strain, and there was concern there about his conditioning and his shape. And now